When you were 10 years old, your parents finally revealed the harsh truth to you. Santa is not real. But you refused to accept that and promised yourself that you would find Santa and prove to everyone that he was real when you grew up. But many years passed and you forgot about your promise. One night, right before you fall asleep, you start hearing a jingling sound. You open your eyes and see a snow fairy. She says,
"Answer my riddle and receive your letter. What comes with a winter's chill, adorned with lights that give a thrill, has branches dressed in snowy frills, and stands in homes on windowsills?"
The answer is a Christmas tree. The snow fairy hands you a red letter and flies away as fast as she can without telling you who it's from. You open it and read, "Dear believer, I know you're wondering who I am. The answer lies in this riddle. I journey forth when stars are bright, in a cloak of night, not a sound in sight. Bringing joy from lands afar, on my sleigh I soar, neath the polar star." Can you figure out who wrote the letter? It's Santa Claus! At that moment, you hear a jingling sound coming from the living room downstairs. You rush there to catch sight of what's causing it and spot an elf waiting for you by the tree with 3 different gift boxes in front of it. It tells you to pick one of them. Which one should you choose? Take a look at the tag attached to the first gift box's ribbon. It says, "Delivered to Thomas Kirtland, age 9. So that belongs to someone else. And notice how the wrapping of the third gift box is damaged from the corners? That could only mean it's already opened. So you should pick the second one. You open your gift box and find a map that shows where Santa lives on the North Pole. You ask the elf, "But how am I supposed to get there?" The elf says, "The answer to your question lies within this riddle. Leading the pack with a light so rare, my shiny beacon cuts through the air. In fog or blizzard, I steer clear. Name me, I'm the sleigh's bright pioneer." Can you tell what that is? The answer is none other than Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Rudolph flies you to Santa's house on the North Pole. But as soon as you land, you realize that you made one huge mistake that might put you and this whole mission into danger. What is that? You didn't get a coat, a beanie, or a scarf to keep yourself warm. Fortunately, you spot Santa Claus's house right in front of you and run there to get warm. But something you see makes you suspicious. What is that? The door to Santa's house is open even though there's a snow blizzard outside. That doesn't seem normal at all. You hesitantly enter the house and start hearing screaming coming from the end of the hallway. You rush there to check what's going on and find out that there's a door. Unfortunately, it's locked with a 3-digit password padlock. Behind the door is Mrs. Claus asking for your help to free her. Luckily, there are clues around the place about the password. Can you spot them and unlock the door? The first clue is here. A traditional advent calendar is hanging on the wall with only one window open, showing the number 3. This is the first digit. The second clue is right here. A string of jingle bells hangs above the fireplace. there are 6 bells in total. So that's the second digit. And the last clue is here on the shelf. Take a look at this snow globe. Inside it, there's a tiny statue of number 4. And that's the last digit. Once you free Mrs. Claus, she explains to you that the original Santa has been tied up for many days now in the North Pole prison, while the evil Krampus pretended to be him. She hands you a magic key and asks for your help to save him and the holiday. So you set off to this prison, with the right clothes this time. You spot the scary building ahead, and there are 3 different ways that will lead you there. Which one should you choose? A. The icy tunnel. B. The frozen forest. Or C. The snowy bridge.
Uh-oh.
The tunnel is filled with sharp icicles that can collapse at any time. That's dangerous. As for the forest, do you hear the distant growls of wild animals coming from there? Better not risk encountering them. You should pick the bridge because notice the footprints on the snow across it? That indicates someone just used it recently, suggesting that it's good to go. There are 3 prison cells inside the building, and inside each of them, there is one Santa look-alike. 2 of those people are imposters, and one of them is the original Santa. However, you have only one chance because the magic key Mrs. Claus gave you before will break after a single use.
Uh-oh.
You must free the real Santa and save the holiday once and for all. Which door do you open? The Santa behind the second door wears a pair of round spectacles. While he fits the image of Santa, his spectacles don't have any lenses in them, which suggests they're more for show than for use. As for Santa behind the third door, do you notice how his beard slightly shifts when he moves? So, it's just a well-made fake. So you should free the Santa behind the first door. Congrats! You just saved Christmas. And hey, Santa is real indeed. Johnny and his family arranged a photo shoot to prepare this year's Happy Holiday card. The photographer took 3 photos of them. But when they checked them, there was something weird in all of the photos. Take a look at the first photo they took in the living room. Can you tell me what's weird here? You can see from the window that it's not snowing outside. But check the mirror on the wall here. You can see snow on the reflection of the window. Now, look at the photo they took in the backyard of the house. What's strange here? Take a look at the chimney on the roof. Something's stuck there. It's Santa's gift bag. Here's the final photo they took in the dining room. What's odd here? Take a look at the long velvet curtains here. Someone's hiding behind them, but they didn't do a good job. You can see their feet sticking out. Let's just hope it's Santa. Janine's boss was leaving the town for the winter holiday, and she wanted Janine to take care of her mansion while she was gone. Before leaving, she mentioned a security code, which once entered into the system would activate an electrified gate to keep out intruders. During a snowstorm, Janine noticed burglars approaching the mansion, but realized she had forgotten the code.
Oh no!
Luckily, her boss also left her a clue which read, "When trees are bare and skies are gray, nights lengthen to outlast the day. In this time, the cold winds whisper, what brings this frosty, chilling picture?" The answer is the season of winter. So Janine needs to enter the word winter on the digital control pad. Nellie, Peter, and Orly rented a country house to celebrate the holiday season together. Unfortunately, the owner of the place forgot the presents he got for his family inside. But when he came back to get them, there were no presents. Assuming they got stolen, he called the police. Once she arrived, she asked all three friends what they were doing when the robbery took place. Nellie said she was watching the TV in the bedroom. It was so loud that she didn't hear anything. Orly said she was decorating the Christmas tree with the ball ornaments in her hand. And Peter said he was building a snowman outside and didn't know what was going on in the house. Can you tell who's lying? Orly is lying. There are no balls on the tree. The holiday season is coming, but criminals are still busy with their evil deeds. Your help is needed. Get your magnifying glass and let's make Christmas merry again. A man was walking along the road heading for a resort town. At one point, he saw a weird scene. Santa was standing on the side of the road. His sleigh had apparently spun out and ended up in a ditch. The man approached Santa to find out what exactly had happened. It turned out Santa had gone out to test his brand new reindeer-free electric sleigh. But suddenly, the Grinch on skis appeared right in front of the sleigh. So Santa had to make a sharp turn. And that's how his sleigh ended up in a ditch. Surprisingly, the man didn't believe Santa. Why? Look closely at the trail left by the sleigh. You can see that first the sleigh turned sharply, and only after that did a skier pass there. The Grinch is not guilty in this case. Most likely, Santa just lost control and now wants to frame the green guy. Santa needs to deliver some gifts, but not all chimneys are safe for him. Can you help Santa figure out which chimney he should pick? The first chimney seems to be fully blocked and no air flows through it. All snow and ice have melted on the second chimney. The fireplace must be working there. As for the third chimney, it's open enough for oxygen to flow through, but the snow hasn't melted completely, which means the fireplace is off. The Grinch wants to change himself to be part of the celebrations instead of hating Christmas. The only problem is that his body isn't cut out for Christmas cheer. He's come to Santa to ask for help. Which part of the Grinch's body needs to be modified the most to fix his anti-Christmas sentiment? His chest is where the problem lies, so we'd better swap that heart out for a bigger one, bursting with Christmas joy. Rudolph the reindeer went missing, and this put the whole Christmas at risk since children wouldn't receive any presents. Santa only knew that Rudolph had gone to the supermarket to get the products for Christmas pudding. The news quickly spread on TV, and 3 witnesses appeared. Judy said that the night before, she'd been passing by an ice cream stand on Palm Street and had seen someone grabbing a reindeer and putting it in a truck. But at that time, she didn't think it could be Rudolph. Philip claimed that he had seen a baby reindeer in a parking lot near a supermarket. The animal was eating hay together with a pony. A man in a jacket approached the animals and they all left. And Kira said that at night, she had seen a reindeer being grabbed by a man and taken away in a black car. Can you figure out who actually witnessed Rudolph's abduction? It was Kira. Rudolph didn't go out to get an ice cream, neither was he a baby reindeer. So what Kira saw seems to be the closest to the truth. Look at this battle. What do you think? Who isn't going to survive it? Everyone will survive. It's just arm wrestling. Almost all the presents have been stolen from Santa's factory. It all happened in the last couple of hours. The weather was nasty. There was snow on the ground and a light rain was falling. The suspects have been narrowed to 3 elves. Each of them claims to have been at home the entire time. As the roads are too dangerous to navigate on foot, the elves can only get around on their sleighs. Can you guess who has taken the presents? It was elf number 2. The first sleigh is damaged, and there's a lot of snow on the third one. It's unlikely someone's been using it recently. As for the second elf sleigh, there is some ice under it, which means that he's recently left the house. While he was away, the rain fell on the snowless ground where the sleigh had previously been parked. And now, this spot is frozen into ice. Let's move to the North Pole. Someone has been stealing Santa's cookies, which he keeps in the reindeer stables. Santa suspects that the criminal is one of his elves who work there, but he's also worried because all of them are allergic to chocolate, and the disappearing cookies are chocolate chip ones. Detective Robinson gathers all the elves in one room. One of them keeps sticking out his tongue and then blushing and apologizing. The second elf has traces of something brown on his hands, and the third elf keeps smiling and giggling. Look at them attentively and try to figure out which one is the thief. The guy with brownish spots on his fingers works in the stables, so no wonder his hands are dirty. Elves are cheerful creatures, which means that a smiling and giggling elf is not actually an unusual occurrence. But the first elf, his tongue is likely swollen as a result of an allergic reaction. Here's our cookie thief. I'm a cookie you might eat, and some might say I'm a flavored Christmas treat. I have brown arms and eyes, and don't forget my feet. What am I? I'm a gingerbread man. After accidentally falling out of his sleigh, Santa had problems with his leg. It hurt to walk, so he went to see the doctor. What did the specialist give Santa to help him walk? A candy cane, of course! 3 teenagers sneak into Santa's home. When he comes home after work, he sees 3 guilty-looking kids and his tall plastic Christmas tree lying on the floor. Santa knows that one of the kids must have climbed the tree, which made it fall over. He calls the police. After looking at the kids attentively, a police officer tells Santa who is guilty. Can you figure it out too? This guy with green hair looks as if he has some Christmas tree needles in his hair. But don't forget that the tree is plastic and can't lose any needles. The guy on the left has a star on his sweater that looks like the one at the top of the tree. But look, it's embroidered. Now look at this girl with a pretty sparkly scarf. It looks suspiciously similar to tinsel decorating the Christmas tree. That's because it is tinsel. Busted! Where can you find Santa's reindeer? It depends on where you left them. Santa called Detective Chris Mallet and asked him to go to a haunted gingerbread house and face one of 3 horrifying monsters. They had taken up residence in Santa's tasty but currently unapproachable cabin. Chris's potential opponents are a giant reanimated Christmas turkey. It's threatening the detective with knives and looks extremely unfriendly. a scorching hot eggnog monster that looks like a moving pile of slime, or a menacing-looking huge candy cane creature with long, sharp limbs. Help the detective make the right choice. The turkey can be very dangerous with those knives. The candy cane's monster's limbs are too sharp to come close to it. As for eggnog, besides being very hot, it doesn't pose any serious danger. The detective just needs to push the monster towards a gingerbread wall, and it'll absorb the creature very fast. On Christmas Eve, Santa leaves his workshop located at the North Pole to deliver gifts to good children. In what direction does he travel? In the south direction. It's the only direction you can travel from the North Pole. I could keep a giant's foot warm, and people look forward to finding me near the fireplace. What am I? I'm a Christmas stocking. What does the gingerbread man put on his bed instead of a blanket? He uses a cookie sheet. He is a man during the winter, but you might drink him during the summer. Who is he? A snowman. And finally, let's have some fun. Who says, "Oh, oh, oh"? Santa walking backwards.
This Christmas, Jake decided to play a game with his sons. He would only give them their Christmas presents if they could win at his game. He would ask them a series of questions, and they would get as many gifts as they answered the riddles correctly. Jake asked his first son, Gabriel, "What do snowmen call their offspring?" Do you have any idea how to answer this riddle? They call them children. Duh. Then Jake asked his only daughter, Julia, another question. "Knock, knock," he said. "Who's there?" she answered. "Tree," Jake said. "Tree who?" Can you guess the answer to this riddle? It's the Tree Wise Men. This one was definitely hard. His kids were doing so good that he decided to switch it up a little. He asked his son Aaron, "What do you call a disrespectful reindeer?" What's the answer here, huh? Well, let's see. A disrespectful reindeer is a Rudolph. For his last question, he asked all of his offspring together, "Where do Santa and the elves go to swim?" What do you think they answered? The North Pole, of course. On one of his trips, Santa brought with him some delicious walnut cookies. He kept them in a jar, waiting for the perfect moment to eat them. But one day, he got home from a day of work and found that his cookies were gone. He decided to interview his elves to find out who might have eaten his cookies. The first elf told Santa that he was making peppermint swirls with Mrs. Claus all morning. The second elf said he had spent the afternoon making homemade peanut butter for Christmas Day. And the last elf said he spent the day keeping an eye on the reindeer so they wouldn't fly away. Santa immediately knew who had eaten his cookies. How did he know? Take a look at the second elf's tongue. It's completely swollen. Elves are allergic to all types of peanuts, swollen from eating the cookies. Plus, his alibi is fake. If he had spent the day making peanut butter, he would have gone to the elf hospital for sure. At Somerville Middle School, the teachers decided to play a prank on their students to make the holiday season more cheerful. The principal announced on the speaker that there was a robber on the loose. The robber was dressing up as Santa and robbing laptops inside the school property. Students were told to beware. At the end of the school day, 5 students had photographed different people dressed up as Santa around the school. Take a look at the photographs. Can you figure out who the fake thief is? The thief is the second Santa on the left. Take a look at his shoes. They're much bigger than the other shoes. He must be hiding something inside of it. In 3 different parts of the world, 3 Santa Clauses are getting ready for their big night. They're about to leave the comfort of their homes to go and distribute gifts all around the world. Take a good look at the image below. Which Santa isn't ready to leave? He's the one in the middle. He still doesn't have his belt on. He can't leave without his belt. And speaking of spotting the real Santa, take a look at these 2 chimneys. Can you tell who is the real Santa? Take a look. The guy on the left has huge legs, and there's some green fur poking out of his pants. It must be the Grinch. The real Santa is the guy on the right, that's for sure. Daniela is a new detective in town, and there's an urgent case for her to solve. At night, someone robbed a mall and stole all the presents prepared for the winter show. In the morning, the videos from the security cameras were analyzed, and the police found 3 main suspects. All of them were interrogated. Bernard said, "I have nothing to do with it. I came from work yesterday and was watching football until I fell asleep." Samuel said, "Today, in the evening, I was so tired, so I just went to sleep and you woke me up." And Jason said, "I was studying all night for my exam in the afternoon." Who should Daniela arrest? Both Samuel and Jason look very tired, but only Jason has a valid reason for not sleeping. But Samuel called the previous day today by mistake, which means he probably didn't sleep at night and there was no difference for him between the 2 days. It was definitely him. Santa arrived in LA to give out gifts for children in the region. He parked his sleigh on top of a family's home and traveled down their chimney. He left their gifts under the tree and decided to check if the family left some cookies for him to snack on. He found the dinner table set with delicious meals: candy canes, hot chocolate, gingerbread, and a turkey. Can you tell which food doesn't belong at a Christmas table? The turkey. They're usually eaten during Thanksgiving, not Christmas. Well, in some homes. On January 1st, Devin called the police to report a crime. He says he went to his neighbor's New Year's Eve party the night before, and during that time, someone must have broken into his house and stolen his laptop. When the police asked about the party, Devin said it was great. There was good food, and the tree lights in his house were shining brightly and beautifully. Devin added that he thought that his neighbor could have been the one that stole his things. Maybe he snuck inside the house when Devin was at his place having fun. The police officer went next door to interrogate Devin's neighbor, Tom. However, as soon as Tom opened the door, the officer knew he wasn't guilty of the crime and also that Devin was lying. How? Look at Tom's Christmas tree. There are no lights, meaning it was probably not even working on the night before. Devin was lying. He probably just wanted to get some insurance money. 4 Santa Clauses were flying aboard a commercial flight. But just before the aircraft was about to take off, the airline got an anonymous call saying that someone was trying to smuggle illegal goods into the aircraft. So they had to check everyone's bags. Each bag went through the X-ray machine again. The first Santa was carrying an extra pair of wigs, shoes, and costume. The second Santa was carrying shaving cream, a book, and several naughty or nice lists. The third Santa had a stash of money, a laptop, and another wig. And the fourth Santa was carrying a few gifts and some gingerbread. Can you guess which Santa is a criminal? It's the one carrying the shaving cream. Santa never shaves his beard, so he must be hiding something inside it. Jenny ran into her comedian friend on the street during the holiday season, and he was on fire, asking her to answer all of his riddles. The first thing he asked Jenny was, why is Santa really good at karate? Because he has a black belt. Way to go, Jenny. Then he asked her, if December 31st is the end of the year, then what is the end of Christmas? The letter S. Well, that sounded obvious. For his grand question, he asked Jenny, what do you call a person who is afraid of Santa? The answer? Claustrophobic. Christmas is just around the corner, but you received a letter saying you didn't make it to Santa's nice list. You were naughty all year long and are not getting any presents unless you prove you are filled with Christmas spirit. Now, what would you say is the best way to do that? Praying, dancing in the middle of the street, or singing Christmas carols? Well, it's definitely the last option. Carols are the best way to spread Christmas cheer. Merry Christmas!
Take a look at this image for a second. Which prisoner do you think is rich? Let's see. It can't be the first guy since his food is partially rotten. It looks like the other inmates don't really like him, and he doesn't have a lot of power inside the prison. The second guy, while he looks super wealthy, his jewelry is actually fake. This leaves us with the last guy, and bingo, it's him! Look, he's got a laptop under his plate and a phone under his arm. He's the richest for sure. Susie was invited to take part in a pop-up riddle show. She needed to answer one question correctly to win $1,000. She was extremely nervous when the game show host asked her this question. How many numbers are on a clock? Can you help Susie figure out this one? The answer looks obvious, but it's not. You need to do some math. The correct answer is 15. It doesn't work if you simply stare at the clock and say there are 12 numbers. You see, the numbers 10, 11, and 12 are made up of smaller numerical numbers, so the correct way to count it would be in a clockwise fashion. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 0, 1, and 1. Phew! A local thief was running around playing tricks on some neighborhood stores. On a Saturday morning, he walked inside Mrs. Buchanan's shop and stole a $100 bill from the counter when she wasn't looking. He grabbed a shopping cart and filled it with $70 worth of goods. He paid for everything with the $100 bill he had stolen and even got $30 back as change. How much money did the store owner lose in all of this? The shop owner just lost $100. I know it sounds too simple, but here's the deal. In total, the store owner lost $70 worth of merchandise, plus the $30 she gave as change. So yes, she lost $100. Maya was roaming through the multiverses when she ran into a gatekeeper guarding a green door. She said she needed to go through the door in order to access her original timeline, but the gatekeeper would only let through those who answered his riddle. He told her that some things can go through the green door while others cannot, and she needed to figure out what all of the things had in common. And then he tells her, "You can come through the door with a carton of eggs, but not with a box of donuts." You can pass through it with a gallon of skim milk, but not a quart of it. You can bring with you some bamboo, but not jade, orchids, philodendron, or ivy. Sadly, you can't come through with dogs and cats unless they're still puppies and kittens. Can you help Maya figure out the pattern in common with all of these things? Well, the key to solving this riddle can be found in all 4 of the words that make up the phrase green glass door, aka double letters. If something is spelled with double letters, it can go through the green glass door. If there are no double letters in its name, then it can't. Mark went to the farmer's market to do his weekly grocery shopping. He stopped by the egg stand, and the owner was feeling chatty, so he challenged Mark to guess the answer to a riddle. He told Mark,
If I had 4 eggs and a thief gave me 3, and my rooster laid 5 more, how many eggs do I have?
Can you help Mark figure out the answer here? I'll get one thing out of the way. It's not a simple math problem. It doesn't work if you just add everything up. But here's the first problem. Roosters don't lay eggs, so those eggs are out of the equation. And then if you read correctly, the man said, if I had 4 eggs, which means that he had 0 eggs to begin with. So the correct answer is 3. The 3 eggs that the thief gave him. 4 prisoners from a high-security prison were taken to a deserted beach to do some community service. The warden wanted to have some fun, so he lined them up in a single-file line and separated prisoner A from the other 3 with the help of a brick wall. He gave each prisoner a hat, either black or white, without telling them which color they each got. In total, there were 2 black hats and 2 white hats. He told them that all prisoners would be sentenced to prison for life, except they could guess correctly which color of hat they had in under 10 minutes. The prisoners weren't allowed to confer with each other, and they weren't allowed to move around or change positions. They got super nervous, of course, but they had no other option than to play the game. Luckily, just before the clock struck 10 minutes, one of the prisoners guessed correctly their hat color. Can you guess which prisoner it was? P.S. There is only one correct answer. If you guessed prisoner C, then you got it right. Let's see why. This riddle can only be solved through a process of elimination, and 2 of the prisoners, prisoners A and B, can be eliminated right off the bat. That's because neither one of them can see any of the other prisoners, so neither possesses any information with which to make a more certain guess. That just leaves us prisoners C and D. When prisoner D remains silent and doesn't take a guess, prisoner C deduces his own hair color. He deduces that he and prisoner B must be wearing different colored hats. And since prisoner B was wearing a white hat, he guessed he is wearing a black hat. Yikes! This fried my hat off. Betty was in her last year of high school and she decided to take photography as an extracurricular activity. For her latest assignment, she needed to take an urban picture and present it to the class. However, since Betty was also organizing a big graduation trip, she didn't have time to do the assignment. Instead, she decided to Photoshop an image and show it in class. The teacher and students immediately saw that the picture wasn't real. How could they tell? Well, because that person over there has 2 heads. It looks pretty cool, but that's kind of a difficult phenomenon to find here on this planet. Three people decided to spend their vacations in Antarctica. Bianca had some trouble with the harsh weather, but felt it was worth it in the end. Pablo had a great time photographing the penguins for his social media page. And Helena got to do some fishing while she was there. On the last day of their trip, passing through airport security, one of them got caught trying to take a penguin with them in their backpack. Take a look at the picture. Can you tell who it was? Let's see what we have here. Well, is that a penguin's feet poking out of Helena's backpack? It sure is. Guess she did more than just fishing during her vacation. Yikes! December 5th is Bloomfield Town's Contest Day. For this year, the mayor picked bakery as the theme, so contestants needed to bake the best dessert to win. The only rule was that the bakers couldn't use sugar in their recipes, only natural sweeteners. When the mayor went to judge the 4 finalists and pick the best dessert, he immediately disqualified one of the bakers, saying they had cheated. And he did that without even tasting the desserts. Take a look at the contestants and see if you can spot the cheater. Look at the third woman in the row. Her cake is literally covered in powdered sugar. She was disqualified because she broke the no sugar rule. Jules is participating in a space mission to Mars. The captain gives her a task to decorate the spaceship. Write something on a wall that makes a person sad when read in good times, and also makes one happy when read in sad times. It took a while, but Jules nailed it. What did she write? Nothing lasts forever. This is it. Jules and her fellow astronauts enter the spaceship and take their seats. Before the launch, Jules has to take care of one last thing. It's under you when it's whole. It shifts above you when you remove the first letter. It's all around you if you remove the second letter as well. What is it? A chair. It's time to start the mission. The captain needs to enter a secret 4-digit password to launch the spaceship. He wrote a little hint on his arm in a secret language. Can you crack the code? All we need to do is to count the number of intersections between the lines, and the code is 2548. Jules enters a room with 4 similar sleeping capsules. She needs to wake up her fellow astronaut, Josh, but she doesn't know where he is. There are 4 people sleeping in these capsules at the moment: Josh, Astrid, the physicist, Phil, the doctor, and Leo, the cook. Phil's capsule is next to Astrid. The person sleeping in the first capsule is a doctor. Also, Josh is not sleeping next to a physicist. Where's Josh? Easy peasy. Josh can only be sleeping in the 4th capsule. Jules and Josh enter the Starship Bridge. Can you find anything weird here? Look out the window. Birds don't fly in outer space. It's breakfast time. Jules goes to the dining room. Oh no! Someone finished the last tube with her favorite peanut butter.
Really?
Jules questions 3 suspects. Josh says, "I didn't do it. I'm allergic to all kinds of nuts." Astrid says, "I woke up, brushed my teeth, and came here. I don't know what's going on." Leo says,
I prepared food for everyone and left my post for 2 minutes to visit the restroom. Sorry, I didn't notice any signs of a break-in.
"Who's lying?" It's unlikely that a person with allergies could be sent on a space mission. Therefore, Josh is lying. The spaceship has a garden and a special lab that stores samples of different plants from Earth. Tonight, someone broke into the system and destroyed a couple of very important plants. The lab is protected by a special passcode, so Jules suspects that it might be one of their robots. Cameras in the lab have been broken before the incident, so she can't see any visual evidence. Can you help Jules find the guilty one among these 6 robots? Take a closer look at this robot. His light bulb is broken and its fragments lie under the broken CCTV camera. So he's the one who sabotaged the lab work. Thankfully, Jules manages to restore the plants, and soon they receive a solid harvest. Can you spot anything odd in this picture? Money doesn't grow on trees. Jules picks a lot of apples in the lab garden. The crew cannot eat so much at once, so she decides to preserve them. On the eve of canning, Jules finds out that someone has stolen all the fruits.
Oh no.
She questions the crew members. Leo says,
Why would I sabotage the mission? I'm the cook, so it's my job to manage food supplies.
Josh says, I saw a couple of apples floating in outer space the other day. I took a picture, but I didn't do it. And Astrid says,
I was sick yesterday, so I spent all day in bed. I didn't touch any food, including apples.
Who's lying? Astrid. She said she didn't touch the apples, but there's an apple core in her pocket. Later that day, Jules receives an emergency message from Josh. Can you help her crack it? Mathematically, this riddle doesn't make any sense. But if we cut the upper half of the whole expression, we'll get the phrase, I love you. The next morning, Jules goes to check the garden. She spots a creepy monster and reports the emergency to the captain right away. Can you spot the monster too? Over here. Jules tries to catch the monster, but he manages to escape from her. This creature is a shapeshifter, so he turns into one of the crew members. Jules interrogates the suspects. The captain says, I was video chatting with my family in the cabin. I didn't see any monsters. Josh says, I heard loud noises from the corridor, but I couldn't leave my post. Dr. Phil says, I'm having back pain, so I was doing exercises in the gym. Who's the monster? Phil, take a look at his palms. Both of them are left. This monster seems to have a poor understanding of human anatomy. Jules puts the monster in a cage, and now her task is to find the real Phil. Crack this rebus to help her figure out his location. Toilet. Jules finds Phil, and thankfully, he's okay. But there's something wrong about this place anyway. Can you spot what exactly? There are too many hands on the clock. Finally, Jules and her team land on Mars. They're greeted by 5 local residents who don't seem to speak human languages. Can you figure out who's the boss here? All 5 guys are wearing some kind of crown, so it's hard to tell who's the king. But if we take a look at their shoes, we'll see that only the fourth guy is wearing shoes different from everyone else. He must be someone special. Jules jumps from a spaceship without any parachute and survives.
Oh my god.
How come? The spaceship wasn't flying, it was on the ground. Jules takes a tour of the local interplanetary space station. There, she sees a deaf Earthling who came over to pick up a pre-ordered part for his ship. How did he explain what he wanted to the delivery service? He just said it. He's deaf, but we didn't say that he was mute. Jules accidentally steps on a local resident's foot. On Mars, it's a serious crime, so they immediately arrest Jules and put her in a room with 3 doors. All the doors lead to freedom, but unfortunately, each way hides a dangerous surprise. The first door is guarded by angry dogs. Behind the second door, there's a huge lit firecracker that should burst in 5 minutes. A furious guard with a baton is waiting behind the third door. What would you rather choose? Jules can wait 5 minutes until the firecracker bursts and then walk through the second door. Jules returns to her spaceship and goes to the lounge area to get some rest. Can you see anything weird here? Take a look at the big screen. There's a video screensaver saying, "Welcome to Mars." The mirror should have reversed the letters, but it didn't.
Oh.
Suddenly, Jules hears loud noises from the lab and goes there to check. A glitch made all the robots stand up and walk in a chaotic manner. They can destroy the entire lab. Jules has only one option: turn the robots off. What button should she press to stop them? The inscription that says, "Shut down all robots," has a wire linked with the third button. Jules calls other crew members to help her fix the mess in the lab.
Oh, no.
There are 3 hidden emojis in this location. Can you spot them? This notebook over here is an emoji, just like this telescope and those scales. Jules goes to bed. The next morning, she wakes up in an abandoned space station. She explores the area and comes across 3 tunnels. There's a portal leading to Earth at the end of each tunnel. But there's a twist. Creepy space monsters are waiting in the first tunnel. Venomous scorpions are crawling all over the second tunnel. The third tunnel has motion detectors spraying strong acids that can dissolve any metal. Which way is more or less safe? Jules should choose the second tunnel. She's wearing a spacesuit. It'll protect her from scorpions.
Oh.